But welcome back, guys, to the insurance panel. Today we got a special guest, Matthew Murray. Once again, I'm just kidding, guys. We got Michael B. He put Michael B on there because he has the toughest name to say. So go ahead and give it to us so we don't screw it up.
It's Binyaminov.
Yeah, exactly. See,
Okay.
I've known you long enough, and I've talked to you hundreds of times, spent time with you in Vegas, gambled with you, and I still can't say your last name.
Okay.
But he is a captain. Correct me if I'm wrong. Captive insurance agent, turned independent, went wildly and sold a ton of business, and went to one of those agencies that are big on like just absolutely going hard in the paint, and then realized that you didn't have to work quite that hard, but you can still make the same amount of money. Which is interesting because that's exactly what we want to talk about today, which is agent burnout. What's the number one killer of agents in this business? It could be burnout.
I think it is.
There's a couple of reasons. One is taxes.
Well,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Y'all dealt with that. I've dealt with that. Taxes. There's also, lack of support or financial training, which also goes back into taxes, but really agent burnout. Like, people don't realize how lonely or how taxing this business is on your brain and your body. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I'll give you a little bit more background. So I used to be in the Army, right? And so soldiers, when they're transitioning, we always talk about like the hardest part of transitioning out of the Army into the civilian world is like a great example. I used to live in like basically a dormitory with like hundreds of other guys, right? We were sex segregated, all the women lived in a different place. And so just hundreds of guys. And I'd wake up every morning at like 5 a.m. There's the same 50 doofuses on my floor, and we'd all say hi to each other, we'd screw around, then we go like work out together, right? And it's freezing outside. But it was like that kind of like miserable suffering, but it was like, I'm with my boys. Like, I'm with my soldiers, I'm with my unit. We're all gonna go suffer through this together. And they say like the most uncomfortable thing after you leave the military and go to the civilian world, you don't have that anymore. Even like your civilian friends, like this is gonna sound really weird, but like you don't, like 40 guys don't just go into the showers together, right? Like, but you do that in the Army, it's normal. And so like, it's that kind of like, I almost want to say intimacy that you have in the military world that doesn't translate to the civilian world, right?
Is it more, correct me if I'm wrong, is it more just the people that you're with on a day-to-day basis, or is it the regimen of exactly what you're going to be doing every single day?
I personally will tell you, is the regimented schedule. Like, if you this is actually really funny, for all 1099s, if it doesn't matter how disciplined you are, if I handed you a daily schedule and I watched you go through your daily schedule, I'll tell you right now, you'd be 50 or 60 times more productive a day. Like, if I said you're going to sleep from 11 o'clock every night to 5 a.m., at 5 a.m. your ass is going to be up and you're going to be in the gym with me for an hour and a half, and just like segmented your day that way, like we do in the military, you'd be extremely productive, but you'd burn out very quickly. That's why, most people are in for 4 to 6 years and they're gone. Yeah. Right? That's the average. Because like, this is what we're going to talk about. It's just you burn out from running that hard. But going back to it, for me, it was always the people. Like, I went through 2 different military academies for my entire college experience. I didn't have like Animal House or like any cool like college movie experiences. Everything I did was at a military school. Like, the women were manlier than me, which it was wild, right? And so like, I like kind of look around at people, I'm like, wow, like, it looks like you actually had fun. I was busting my ass and getting yelled at by a 23-year-old when I was 19, right? So I personally say it's the people, which goes back to the burnout side. Insurance is an ultra lonely business, especially when you're a little bit like, the 3 of us here, we're all independents, right? Captive insurance agents, I will say right now, they live a completely different life than the 3 of us and most of the people watching this. Completely different. Because, and we talk about this a lot in my agency, when you're captive, I say captive insurance agents, probably some of the best salespeople in the world, because they have a high level of confidence. Everyone's going to pat them on the back because everyone knows, like, that's Bob. Bob did $1 million in AP last year with this one product. Holy crap. And everyone's like, Bob. Yeah. And they're just so happy, right? And people feed off of that. But in the independent side, one of the group that we're with, Matt, like, they do a very good job of, like, showing the leaderboard. And you're like, wow, look at that guy. That guy's amazing. And some of the carriers, like, Aetna, they'll send out their newsletter, like, here are the top 10 in the country, independent, captive, whoever. And everyone's like, look at that. That's great. But the captive side does so well in building this culture of, like, we're a family or we're a team. They're little localized offices that you don't ever want to leave. And they do that by giving you like 80% less comp than you deserve. And so you jump to the independent side. And in the independent side, you have this really lonely nature that I'm here in Phoenix. I have a team of agents, like 40 some odd contracted, and then 10 of them actually write business, right? But none of my agents that consistently write business live in Phoenix. I have one in California, one in Colorado, South Carolina, North Carolina, Ohio, Virginia, like, they're all over the place. And so we talk regularly on the phone. We have like a morning call every day that we all get on, but there's very little FaceTime. And so I was joking around with my agent in California, and he was telling me, he's like, I'm going through a pretty rough divorce. And I was like, why? And he's like, I had no support at home, dude. And insurance is an entrepreneurial type business where if you don't have the support at home, you're now fighting clients in the home or on the phone, however you're selling, then you're fighting your spouse at home. Get a real job. Why are you doing this? Why did you miss this and this? It's a very hard fight to have, which contributes to burnout. You have to have some sort of support at home, because if you're fighting two battles, like, if your relief is getting in the car to drive to door knock versus coming home, like, that's why you burn out. It's hard.
Yeah. No, it's rough. Having that supportive home system, that home life, is probably the most important in any of this. If you're going to be successful, you have to have your personal life taken care of. Like, exactly. It gets so hard if you are coming home, because it's a hard job, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're going out and you're talking to people who don't necessarily want to talk to you, who have probably talked to other agents in the past who have been kind of shady. And you're trying to convince them that you're not one of those shady guys, and you're knocking on doors and you're trying to get in, and, people are telling you no. And then to come home and to not have that relief validated, not, because it's not like, because your spouse is never going to really understand what you go through. Nobody who doesn't do this is really going to understand what you're going
Agreed.
through. Right? Which is where the captive insurance agencies really do have it. I mean, I know when I was captive, we had twice weekly meetings where we would get our little, like, micro team would get together. There were like 12 of us, and we would have a meeting to kick off the week and to end the week and just debrief, and have that camaraderie.
Let me ask. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but that's the part that I miss the most about being independent from having left the captive world, is having that group of people that understands what you're going through. But I am grateful. I mean, I have got family who understands that this is a path that is successful, and a wife who's supportive. And, I was unlucky enough to grow up with a father who worked in the insurance industry, and, like, there's a lot of understanding coming around, but not everybody's got that. So it's
really tough whenever you want to spend more time with your family and have a better home work life balance. You're like, oh, I'll be an entrepreneur and I'll be an insurance agent. And then it gets tougher at home because there's a transitional period that you have to go through to get that extra time.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Nick, you recently were able to take a week to just take on a train to go spend some time, like all that other stuff. Yeah. It was like 10 days of just like whatever you want to do. Right.
Yeah.
But early on in your career, you didn't have all those luxuries, right? You worked your tail off to be able to do that. And you had a supportive family at home to help you get there.
Yeah, no, my first year in insurance, I think so Facebook does this thing where it pops up memories, right? And a memory popped up not long ago where my wife posted, so happy that Nick got to have a day off. And we got to spend a day together from that first year when I was in insurance, and it was a Sunday.
Yeah.
I just had like a Sunday, and I think I slept most of that day because I was working literally 7 days a week, trying to get my feet underneath me. It didn't help that I was making like 35% commission on most products that I was selling, and the product that I was selling was like mostly a $17 a month product. So like, I was making, you had to sell a lot of them, to try and make any money. But you get through that first year and you survive, and you find a better way. And there is a better way. I think there's a better way. I think that this is the ultimate work-life balance job if you do it right. Like, I think 100%, if you're doing this job right, you should have lots and lots and lots of time to go see school plays, take kids to doctor's offices, take your wife out for dinner, go on, vacations, do whatever you want, and have really excellent work-life balance. I think it's extremely achievable. And I don't necessarily know that you have to spend an entire year getting there if you start the right way to begin with. If you are on 35% commission, it does take a little bit longer.
Takes what, 3 times the amount of work that somebody else would do. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So how do you? I guess one more question for you, Nick and Michael. I'm sorry, are you married?
No, I'm. I used to be once upon a time.
Okay, sorry. I mean, but so a part of the problem that I went through early on is with my wife is I would come home and I would usually, even today, I'm getting off the phone as I'm walking through the door, and I try to end that call of, hey, I'm walking through my door, I'm done with work, right? But when I end that call and I walk through the door, that doesn't mean that my brain is off from what I just was doing. My brain is still running at 1,000 miles per hour. And I want to spend the first little bit, seeing how her day was and all this other stuff, but I'm also trying to almost projectile vomit everything that's been happening throughout the day of I need a soundboard, right?
Yeah.
And it was tough early on because she didn't care.
Right. Yeah, sure.
She just doesn't care or didn't care, but she realized that if she did not allow me to decompress and get that out, that I would be wound up. So I had to tell her, like, hey, you got to listen to me for like 5 minutes and just let me just talk about everything. And then we can get into other stuff. And once she understood that, it went way better. She still doesn't care, but she at least listens to me and is supportive.
She pretends to.
She pretends to, right?
Yeah. No, my wife likes to go like, insurance stuff's boring.
Yeah, exactly.
But there is that level of, she's invested in the business side of it, even if she doesn't care at all about the insurance side of it, right?
Correct.
Because it's how we make our money.
Correct.
That's how we go to Mount Rushmore and do all of the things that we do.
If there was a Mount Rushmore of final expense agents or final expense legends, who would be the face?
Oh God.
Who would be the faces on the Mount Rushmore of final expense insurance?
Scott Burke is going to be one of them.
Yeah.
It's got to be. I don't know. That's a different topic. I'm just thinking about that.
That's a fun next podcast for you. Be like, all right, so Scott gets like the Abraham Lincoln. He gets a distinguished one. Who gets the other 3?
Yeah.
I guess Ben Feldman would get one, right?
Yeah, he's insurance, but not final expense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, right. If we're talking just specs, for sure Scott's on there.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, that is a topic where if I leave somebody off the lists, I'm going to get people mad at me.
Oh,
so
you hate mail.
I don't want to forget anybody accidentally. There's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of good FEX agents out there. There's a lot of good final expense people, you know. But there's not actually that many. At the end of the day, it is a very small industry of people who have ended up being successful doing this.
Agreed.
And I do think that that's because a lot of agencies that teach people to do final expense teach them to grab a whole bunch of leads, most of them resold, many of them very old, put them in their hand, throw them in their car, whatever, and at 8 o'clock in the morning start knocking on Monday, and then at 8 o'clock at night on Friday stop knocking, and then maybe you get to sleep a little bit on the weekend and start it over again on Monday. And I think that's a recipe for disaster for most people. And I see people talking about it all the time as like, this is the thing you have to do. This is the way you have to work. You have to, 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, get it done, make it happen, grind it out, love the grind. And I don't think that's right. I don't. I think that's the reason why so many people fail. I think.
Yeah, Michael, without saying your previous company's name that you used to work for before you're working with who you're working with now, we try to leave names out of the equation as much as possible.
I caught that.
Does that seem about what they were telling you?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually going to make a point about what Nick was saying too. You guys ever heard of like hustle porn? Like everyone talks about how hard they hustle, and I work 75 hours a day. I haven't slept in 3 years. You're like, bro, that's not. You're gonna have a heart attack. You're gonna be a final expense client at 35.
Yeah, like it's terrible for you. You can't live like that.
Exactly, and I think the problem with a lot of insurance is, Nick, what's the average age of an insurance agent right now?
Like 50 something.
Yeah, like those people are about to be on Medicare, right? So you have a lot of people like me. I turned 25 last month, right? There are people even younger than me coming into the industry. So you're seeing this like huge generational shift from like these like mid 50s, early 60s guys to like people like me. And a lot of us are hustlers, right? And we'll work, 70 hours a week to go make 10 grand to go blow it all at a casino or bottle service at a club or something stupid because we're not financially savvy yet. And that doesn't happen until like the third year in the business after you owe the IRS money, right?
It is 2 or 3 years. Yes, that's exactly right.
When you get that first big check from the IRS, that's when you start being like, oh, maybe finances.
Yeah. Whoever's listening, go find a really good CPA, right? that's order number one. But I mean, without saying the name of the company, that's exactly what they advertise. I mean, I remember we used to dial for a full day Monday, a full day Thursday for your appointments Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Right? If you take off Sunday if you did well, right? But Sunday, like a lot of the weirdos on Sundays were pre-dialing for Monday, which I think you either full asset or no asset. You don't pre-dial. Either you dial on Sunday or you dial on Monday. Personal opinion, right? A lot of people agree with me. A lot of people hate that I said that. But either you do it or you don't, just to get it over and done with. But I don't think 6 days on, 1 day off is enough. Like you could look at some of the most stressful professions out there. My girlfriend right now, she's going into nursing school. That's a fun story. I actually sold a policy to the woman who does admissions for her nursing school. And I said, hey, you should really let my girlfriend in. And then like 2 weeks later, she got an acceptance letter. And I was like, I don't know if it was me, if it was her. It's just a running joke in the house now. But, she'll do 4 days on, 3 days off. Or sorry, 3 days on, 4 days off. Mm-hmm. And when I asked her about it, she said, theoretically, she could do 5 days in a row and then take 2 off. But that's like federally mandated. You can't work more than 60 hours in a 5-day span for the medical world. Because after that, you're going to start screwing up. You're going to fall asleep on a patient.
Right. Your decision-making starts to...
Exactly. Surgeons have to be relieved 8 hours into a surgery. If you're doing a neurosurgery, it's 15 hours. You're going to need 2 surgeons. Right. And like you can look at like police, fire, even like the military. Dude, if we're supposed to sleep a minimum of 4 hours every 24 hours. And if you don't, it better be life or death. And so I don't like, I'm not going to say like insurance agents are the same level of stress or whatever it is, but I'd say the same token, like, have you ever been in a home after just a really long stretch and like someone gives you this like rebuttal and you just kind of look at them like, are you a moron? Like I'll tell you right now, at the old place I was at, the owner had some very fun stories he would tell us, and he told us one. He's like, I got a rebuttal one day, and I was just so sick of everyone giving me rebuttals. He gave me the rebuttal, and I was like, all right, can you say it again a second time? And the guy said it, and he's like, all right, I just had to make sure it sounded just as stupid the second time as it did the first. And then he walked out of the home. And I was like, no way. Like, you can't. And so I've definitely, like, you work really hard, and like I've let it slip a few times. I had someone give me a rebuttal, and I was like, that's BS. That's not correct, Phyllis. You don't want this policy because you don't like me at this point, or it's too expensive. Which one is it? It was price, you down close. But if you start burning out because you're working 5 or 6 days a week, you're gonna be so on edge, and it's gonna ruin your home life. Like, your friends are gonna call you and say, hey, let's go out and do this. No, I'm working, hustle porn. You can't do that. And like, eventually you're gonna realize, like, okay, I have 50, 60 grand in the bank, but I'm miserable. I'm going to see a therapist. I'm on, damn, what's that antidepressant all the FX clients are on? You're on like antidepressants, and you're on like suicide watch because you have all this money, and like, you've ground down all of your relationships to all I do is sell insurance and then sleep to sell more insurance. And that's your personality. What are your hobbies? I sell insurance.
Right.
That's not it, man. You can't do that.
No, it's not healthy.
Not at all.
It's not good for anybody, but it is so prized by the people who are influential, by the agency owner, because the reality is agency owners, know that 99% of everybody that they hire in the first year is going to go away and fail.
Yeah.
They know that 90% of everybody that makes it past year 1 is not going to make it to year 5.
Yeah.
So they do not have, for the most part, a lot of vested interest in your health, and like, churn them and burn them is a thing, recruit them in masses, train them in classes, sell their friends and family and fire their asses. These are things that exist. These are things people say.
I guess I don't necessarily agree with they want to churn and burn. I just don't think they understand that they are churning and burning.
I feel like
they don't like
churn and burn is
they know that it's a thing. They know it's happening, but I don't think that they're going, we want to make people fail. Like, we know people are going to fail. We don't care. I just don't think that they understand how much it's really impacting negatively the stigma of an insurance agent.
My feeling is that they don't know another way.
Exactly. They don't know.
They were taught. They came up through the churn and burn system, and so that's the only way that they know how to also do. It's like,
I did it, so you should be able to do it.
Right. I did it. You should do it too. Right.
I suffered. You're going to suffer.
Exactly. And if you're strong enough, if you're a real salesperson, you'll tough it out and you'll make it and you'll survive.
But I also think part of it depends a lot. Like, a lot of these agencies, I think a lot of it depends on product line. Like, think about a lot of these like turn and burn agencies where they bring you on, they get your warm market, they don't have a lead offering, and they say, hey, good luck, go figure it out. Right. I feel personally that if they would have offered a product line, kind of like Medicare, like, I'm not going to sit here and plug like, hey, every life agent go sell Medicare, because a lot of you bad agents out there will sell Medicare and it'll make me mad. So you screw up these old people's health insurance.
Right.
And so I think if a lot of these groups started doing a product that was more residual based than first year commission based, everyone would be so much happier.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to sit here and plug Medicare, but what is it, like 500 Advantage clients? You have like 100K in residual January 1st.
Not even that many.
Kind of like that.
It's not even the 500.
So you're saying 500.
So you're saying if there was a final expense product that paid you the same for 6 years in a row, similar to a med sup, that would be more advantageous?
I would say yes. I would say yes after year 2. I'm going to say no year 1. Year 1, you need money.
Year 1, you need money, but now that you know and you're like, you understand the more residual in the long-term game, you would be like, oh, actually that looks a little bit sexier to me. It's not as much upfront money, but it's like, if you could, my thing is like, the one thing I try to teach agents is whatever money that you're making right now. Okay. And a lot of times when people come to me or they talk to me, I go, how much money do you need to make survive? And a lot of people don't even know. They've never actually
They didn't
knew
budget
that
it.
number. They just
Yeah.
know that their paycheck comes every 2 weeks and it's enough to cover the bills. Right. And then they struggle sometimes and they figure it out and they sell a shoe, right? Or a TRE or whatever it is. But we figured out together. And that number is really only like $3,000 a month. Right. And then I go, okay, so what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you how to make 5 or 6 early on, knowing I got to put some away for their taxes, knowing I got to put away from some savings, and it's all this other stuff. Right. And I said, but I don't want you to change your style of living for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You still need to be able to live off of $3,000 a month. Your money's going to increase dramatically. But over those 2 years, I'm going to make sure your residual income is going to be the same, if not more, than what your bill is. And then you're financially free. If agency managers or GAs or whatever you want to call them would just sit down and talk to people about that and show them that it's okay, that you just need to make enough money. You need to make enough money to survive, put some away, make a little bit of extra. Like your bank account wants to grow, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to go from last year I made $24,000 and this year I made 192, but I look like I'm crack cocained out because I haven't slept in a year and a half. You don't need to do that. Your income will drastically increase every year that you stay in the business. Every year, it just continues to go up. Right, Nick?
Oh, absolutely. And people say that you don't make any renewals in final expense, but I'm going to tell you, my final expense renewal base pays me more than any job that I held prior to selling insurance, just on my final expense renewals.
But I also think there's like a perfect progression for an agent, and this is something we talk about in my group all the time. Like I fully believe the first year you should be a final expense agent. And I mean, should's an ugly word in the military, and like you're not supposed to say it, but I believe in my heart of hearts, most agents need to be a final expense agent their first year, so they have like cash flow. Yep. They can save up money. They can realize what a sales presentation looks like, and they start like slowly like getting like the Med Sup and the Medicare Advantage stuff coming in. Because theoretically, I mean, like I have probably 300 or 400 FEX leads on my desk right now. Mm-hmm. Out of those 300 leads, I mean, maybe I couldn't sell them a life policy, but I can get them some Medicare stuff, right? Like there's your Medicare leads too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so like over time, you're going to say, wow, like as I start building up my client base for Medicare, maybe instead of working 4 days a week or 5 days a week, I only work 2. I go hard in the paint Monday, Tuesday, and now it's the exact opposite of the average American's work week. You work 5 days to get off 2. I work 2 days to get off 5.
Yeah.
And about like your 7th or 8th year, as long as you don't have a lot of mortality in your book of business, like, do you really need to work? You wake up, you get 140 grand deposited at the beginning of the year or over 12 months. I don't know how Medicare pays out exactly. As you can tell, it's my first AEP that I'm going into. This is gonna be fun to watch in about a year where I'm like, oh, so that's how it actually works. But like, you wake up and you're like, wow, my bills are paid. Like, let's go on a boat on Thursday.
It gets to be pretty cool. I mean, like my goal for my schedule has been for a very long time to make all the money that I need to make in 2 days a week. That has, I'm not going to say I'm 100% successful every week, but I stack my schedule in such a way that it is not just possible, but actually likely that I can write all the business I need to write in 2 days. You know, and I was taught from right at the beginning of when I went independent that, you know, if you focus on things you can control, right? You can't control who buys, you can't control how much they buy, you can't control a lot of things, but you can control the number of presentations that you give to people, the number of people that you sit down face to face with. And if you can focus it on the things you can control, everything else will sort of fall into place. So if you can give 12 presentations, maybe 15 presentations if you're not very good yet, in a week, you will write about 4,000 or more, again, depending on how good you are, in annual premium in that week. And if you really think about it, 12 presentations in 2 days is really only 6 presentations a day for 2 days. That's not that many. You know, that's a really achievable number. There's factors, you know, there's stuff that goes on that makes it difficult to actually get to that spot. And, you know, people don't show up for appointments, you door knock, nobody's home, like stuff happens, you know. It is harder than it sounds like. But I don't think there's a reason in the world why anybody watching this video couldn't give 12 presentations in 3 days, 4 a day.
I agree.
Like,
as long as you spend the time that you walk out of your front door till the time that you get done with your dials for the next day or whatever the case may be, you're working hard to do what you're supposed to do, which is sit in front of that many people a day.
Right. Sit and give a presentation, attempt to close 4 people a day over 3 days in the week. You know, make it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, take Thursday through Sunday off. Or, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then, you know, you got time during the middle of the week. I don't know. Make your schedule what you want to make it. Have a schedule, right? Have a plan. But it's really doable. You know, if you're given 12 to 15 presentations a week and you're not writing $4,000 in premium every week, or if for some reason $4,000 in premium a week is not enough for you to live off of, that's like one of those, hey, talk to your upline times, right?
That's the problem.
Something's not working there.
If your upline is telling you go get a lease for $600 a month, it's a problem.
Yeah.
What organization was it? It's like, you know, you have to go get some big boy bills. So you get outside and you start. I think it was Amway. When they were like huge in the 90s, they were telling people to go buy like really expensive cars so that you had a bill. Like, you're gonna go hustle.
Keep from getting your car repossessed. Right.
Yeah. And you have the car, so you can attract people so they can hustle for you, so they can pay your car bill.
Yeah.
Disgusting. So, and then like all these MLM mofos started leaving MLMs. They started coming into insurance.
Came into insurance.
Yeah, like, why don't we just make insurance the biggest MLM we've ever seen in our lives?
One of the biggest IMOs actually stemmed from Amway.
Yep.
I think like 7 or 8 of the biggest IMOs stem from that one IMO that stemmed from Amway. They're all
that's also true. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they all sit at the same tables and they all smoke the same cigars, drink the same whiskey, and they're like, hey, you used to work for so and so who worked for so and so who sued so and so. And you're like, yep, that's me. It's just, it's a very small, what I want to say to people who are watching this, insurance is a very small world. If you cause somebody to burn out, or if you do wrong by somebody, it will come back around to you. Like, there are people who hold vendettas for a decade.
Oh yeah.
There are groups that absolutely refuse to talk to each other, even though like they probably work better together than apart. At least they hate each other because so and so like rewrote this other guy's policy a decade ago. People don't forget that.
Yeah.
But going back to the burnout side of it, I mean, like, the thing that I tell my agents who are mostly mostly East Coast and I'm West Coast, I will get a phone call sometimes at like 5:30 in the morning, and I'm already up usually, so I'll wake up, I'll answer the phone call, I'll be pissed. I'm like, I'm a civilian, I'm sleeping in peace. I have one of the memory foam beds that I don't like getting out of. Like, why are you calling me at 5:30? Hey man, I'm closing a deal right now. I'm like, well, now you have my attention. But think about this, right? Imagine like if you started your day as a West Coast agent with an East Coast team, and you wake up at like 5, 6 in the mornings, you're dealing with Joe Schmuckatelli in the home, and the lady has neuropathy and she only has one leg, and you're like, oh my God.
Right.
What are you gonna do, right? And you're like, wow, that sucks. Then you go and do your own work day, right? Then you come home and you have to deal with like your home life stuff. And I don't want to say fortunate, but I'm not mature enough, I guess, to have like a wife and kids yet. So it's like I don't have to deal with that portion. But a lot of people who are watching this probably have like legitimate families, and they have to go deal with that. So they're running and gunning from 5 or 6 in the morning, dealing with their East Coast team, their own work day, their home stuff, and then they're trying to go to sleep at like 10, 11, midnight And like, yeah, you do that for 6 days a week, you're gonna burn out. So I mean, I used to screw around with my agents. Like there are times, I think it's like 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. West Coast time. I'm playing Xbox, leave me alone. Like
Yeah.
either I'm gonna go shoot somebody on Call of Duty or I'm gonna do it in real life. I mean, you guys get the decision. So I'm gonna go play Call of Duty for 2 hours, right? Like leave me alone. Like you need to have like a non-insurance hobby, in my opinion, in order to be able to be sane to sell insurance.
Yes.
What right? Like Nick, what's your hobby? Do you play guitar? Like I see it in the background.
I play music.
Go on.
You know,
Matt, what's your hobby?
Great.
I'm a huge video game nerd.
Okay, see, there we go. So we agree on that. Kind of. You probably don't play Call of Duty like I do, but like it's one of those things. You need a non-insurance thing because like
you gotta.
I don't like you like you guys have said like your spouses like they pretend to listen to insurance stuff. And they're like, oh, that's nice, dear. You imagine how many people out there are like, yeah, I'm in that same situation. That's why you see like the conception of this like power couple where like husband and wife or like, you know, whatever the home situation is, they both sell insurance.
Right.
Like I would love to see the dynamic of that because the people I know who do it, I have a huge respect for them because they're both just animals, very good at what they do.
Right.
But I imagine at some point there's such friction because one partner is doing amazing, one partner is like depressed because they're doing bad. And now like you have this combative thing at home where it's like, yeah, I went 0 for 75 this last month. And like, I went 75 for 75.
Right.
And then it's how do you deal with that at home?
I don't know.
Right?
Well, and then where do you get a break? Like for me,
that's the
like,
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like for me, like I get to, so part of my schedule is on Tuesdays, my wife and I have a standing lunch date. We go and get lunch every Tuesday, 1 o'clock. And it is one of the things that I look forward to in my week because it is a break from having just done a Monday. The way I run my Mondays, I run a 12-hour field day on Monday. You know, I go run a really long Monday, but then I don't Tuesday. And, you know, and I do some paperwork and I do phone calls and I respond to emails in the morning. And then I stop that too. And I go out and I have lunch with my wife, you know, and we talk about non-business things and like have a real life outside of everything. I think that stuff's important. Like, I think you got to have that stuff going on.
You know what my wife told me when I said you should get an insurance? She says, I could never, ever, ever, ever work for or with you. And I was like, why? And she goes, because you're well respected. People look up to you. When you talk on the phone, you stand up, you got a deep voice. I find it really sexy. She goes, and then you get home and you're a child. She's like, you're a completely different person. And she goes, and it's funny because you'll be in your underwear, you know, at home, like playing a video game. And then someone calls you and you go into insurance mode. And she's like, I'm the only person that sees you other than that. And I'm like, you're right. And she goes, she's like, I would laugh at you. Because she's been to places with me and I've introduced her to people and they're like, oh yeah, I'm like, Matt's helped me out with this. And she's like, are we talking about the same dude? Because at home he's a child and it's true. But there has to be that, you know, you have to have a getaway. What Michael I think is trying to say, when we're all trying to say, is you have to have a getaway. You have to have something to decompress or unplug, or you have to have a hobby, because if your only thing is you want to work, you want to make money, and if you're putting stuff on Facebook like see me in 3 years, I won't talk to any of you, like I'm gonna close some of my friends off, like you shouldn't do that, man. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What I will agree with though is like some people I'm not gonna name names. There's a guy that's in your organization, Matt, that I look up to. He's a killer. He's close to my age. And like he always posts like such uplifting and positive things. And he's like, you know, if your friend group is trying to drag you down, don't be around them. Right?
Oh yeah, there's a difference between trying to,
and it's trying to make you better.
There's a difference between dragging you down and just being your friend. I get friends that do nothing with insurance, that we play video games all the time. I never talk about insurance. I just talk about video games, and we're the greatest of friends. Yeah. Now, if that friend was like, hey man, you should go get a real job and all this other stuff, like I'm not going to talk to that person.
Gone.
Right.
Totally different things. You know what I mean? But you shouldn't go to your friends. You should never go to your Facebook and say, no one talked to me. I'm in hustle mode for the next 3 years. I'm not talking to anybody. Like that's
crazy.
It's crazy.
You're gonna be a final expense client because you had a heart attack under 40.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna write you Sons of Norway guaranteed issue.
And,
like,
and,
that's
and
all we're gonna do.
And you're gonna be the guy in the home going, I used to sell insurance, so I know what I'm doing. And you're like,
Yeah,
cool, it's $50 a month, dude. And you're like, oh yeah, but I know what I'm doing. And like, okay, well, you have heart problems. It's $50 a month. And you're like, okay, but I know this stuff. And you're like, okay, well, it's $50 a month. Sign here, right?
Right.
Maybe you shouldn't have hustled so hard, bro.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You're more on Beck's plan.
Yeah.
What can you do, right?
Don't burn out. I want to take the time because we're almost done. I wanted to show Nick my remarkable. Michael, pay attention.
I'm over here like
I watched a whole video review on it the other day. It looks really cool.
Okay, so this is what happened.
How much is Remarkable paying you to hawk these?
Not a dime, dude. Not a dime. Okay, so this is me. I have like this little thing. This is awesome. It's made by Colonel Littleton. It's like really nice leather. But I have these legal pads everywhere, and it's just notes and notes and notes, and I have them all over the place. Every presentation I've ever done in a house has been me with a piece of paper, and I'm doing the stuff. I'm doing the quotes, right? Oh, it's awful. But that's how I do that's how I do my presentation. It's just what I know how to do. Okay. The problem is if over the years, I've got like 40 or 50 of these things, and it's like, but it works for me, right? Because I can go back and I can find it. But the problem is if I've done it for so long, it's like, where did I put that note? The Remarkable, which looks like a sheet of paper, you can put it in notes, and you can go Mary, and it feels like you're writing on paper. It feels like you're writing on paper. And then you can save that into a folder and say in-home presentations, and it's there forever. So I can do the exact same thing from the legal pad and write on pieces of paper and go, okay, Miss Jerry, you want the $10,000 plan, you want the $15,000 plan, or you want the $20,000 plan, right? And I know what I quoted her because it's going to be like that piece of paper forever.
So it's almost like, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Yeah. So the thing that I'm wondering is, one, can you put like PDFs of like your applications on there?
I don't know if you do PDFs of paper applications, but you can make this into a PDF. I don't know. I haven't got that far into it.
And could I like take the notes that I take there and upload them into some place that's not there?
Yes.
Like I can put them on my like web-based CRM.
Yes, and you can convert them. You can convert them to text.
Because I have mostly gone digital. I'm at the moment like I pull out my laptop and I type all my notes now. Because one of the things that the pandemic did for me that is maybe a positive thing from the time that I spent doing telesales in the pandemic was I got like big into just take notes on anything that they tell you. So like I've got just like paragraphs of information on every person that I've written a policy on since the pandemic started and I started doing telesales. But it is all just like big long blocks of typed notes. And I used to do like legal pad stuff before that, but that didn't translate to telesales as well. But
man, do you use Notability at all? Because like that's what I use personally.
I do use Notability. I don't know why, but I love this thing.
Is it because of the feel?
It feels a lot like paper. It's crazy.
Yeah, because I hate like handwriting notes in like one. I'm not an help person, but like OneNote, which works similarly to
same deal. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like doing handwritten notes on the screen. Like it doesn't
on like an iPad or something like that. It just doesn't
on an iPad or on my
I'm
laptop
telling you this.
whatever.
You can make it feel like a calligraphy pen. You can make it feel like a mechanical pencil. You can make it feel like a pen. It's insane. I don't know how they pulled it off. And they're not paying me a dime for this. Remarkable 2. It was like $600 for everything.
Jesus,
Remarkable
man.
2. How do we get you to sponsor our YouTube channel?
Dude, yeah. I'll reach out to them. And it does say you can. I'll put on their PDFs. It says you can upload PDFs through the app or through the desktop, and then probably fill it out and
you get a legal signature that way, like flattened, annotated, and locked, and all that.
Let me find out for you.
All right. They're not that expensive. I mean, it's a little bit on the expensive side, but they're not that expensive.
It is expensive from the point that it's, $600, but that's the Remarkable 2 is only like $300 or $350. But then it's like you got to get the case, right? And then you got to get the pen. Duh.
The pen doesn't come included?
No, it does not. That's how they get you. Well, that's like $100 for the pen. But there's another pen that's got an eraser, but don't get it. It's like an extra $50,
bro. Oh my lord,
dude! I'm telling you.
Oh my god!
I'm telling you guys.
This is like everyone getting Birkenstocks like a decade ago, right? They're like, I got the Birks on.
All of y'all laugh, but everybody's gonna be having Remarkable soon because I'm going hard in the paint for this thing.
Yeah. Does everyone have a Zune right now too instead of an iPod?
I lost my Zune a long time ago.
Dude, you should be impressed that I know the reference. Like,
I actually am.
You're only 25. You were like 5 when Zune's worth it.
That is impressive. That is impressive. Yeah.
Maybe I'm a FX client.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I for one will say, Mike, it's been incredible having you on. You're well spoken. You're young. You're still young in the business, but you're well spoken. You've been through definitely enough to, in my eyes, become a veteran and know things that you should know that sometimes it takes people many more years to learn. So I've actually learned things from you that I didn't think of. You put a really good perspective on a lot of things we talked about here today. So I appreciate you being on here. Nick said he hated you before he got on. So it's just one thing.
Yeah. I'll extend the olive branch.
Yeah. Just kidding. But no, it was really good.
People mad at me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I do actually. Until you show up to a conference. That's the
until
one
I
thing.
show up to a conference, he's just going to keep making people mad at me.
Dude, I want to like make our own conference. Like, let's do it, Matt. Like, let's get the group to do like our own conference. We invite Nick as a guest speaker. We headline him without him knowing, and like he doesn't know until we start posting the advertisements everywhere.
No,
Nick is gonna be there. Everyone's like, oh, who's Nick? We've never seen him.
Well, exactly.
I thought it was a troll from freaking Romania, bro. I didn't know it was a human.
Dude, I mean, I went to a conference recently, and everybody was like, "Where's Nick?" And I was like, "It's me." They're like, "Yeah, where's Nick?" And I'm like, you do the YouTube video with them. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm Matthew." They're like, "Yeah, but where's Nick? Like, you guys do so much together." And I'm like, the crazy part is Nick and I have never actually met.
Yeah, never met in person. He never comes to Philadelphia,
and he never comes to Wilmington.
And well, there's no good reason to go. Come on.
There is a lot of good reasons to go to Wilmington.
You sound like me and my favorite agent. He's in California. He's like probably a 6-hour drive. He's worked with me for about a year. I've never met him in person. We talk probably 3 to 5 hours a week on the phone.
Yeah.
I've never met. And I keep joking. I'm like, dude, I'm going to go out there and run business with you. And he's like, dude, I'll come to Phoenix and I'll run business with you.
Never did.
It's been a year.
Yeah. It's never happened.
Nick and I has been 2018.
Yeah.
We've known each other longer than that, but so we've been doing YouTube since
2018. Yeah.
2018.
Like 16 since we started. Like that was when what was it?
Cell Team 6. Cell Team 6. Wow, that's a throwback. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
that's where I really cut my teeth and learned some skills. I still think is very. I still think it's the most viable system in the world, but Nick, I disagree.
I disagree so much.
I personally think if you buy a bunch of like resold internet leads and you start working those, that's the most viable system. That's just me.
Yeah.
Guys, it's dripping with so much sarcasm. It's going to be like your guys' little thumbnail.
Yeah,
Michael says the dumbest thing we've ever heard ever in a podcast.
I love it.
I'm into it. Well, guys, if you liked having him on here, just drop him some love down in the comments.
Yeah.
Add him on Facebook. He runs a big insurance group. He's an admin, or is that your group?
It's not my group. I'm a moderator there.
Yeah, moderator. Yeah.
There's going to be another very large one coming on the scene very soon. I just got invited to go moderate that one as well. And so it's. Do
you want to plug it? You're welcome to.
Plug that.
So the group that I moderate right now is called Life Insurance Agent Discussion. It's got as of right now about 11,500 agents in there, and it's a pretty good repertoire. I mean, I keep it fairly clean. Like, there's no excessive bashing in there. If you're a butthole, I kick you out.
Sure.
Right? Like, you can be a little bit of a butthole.
It's a spinoff of the insurance forums, which are slowly dying.
Yes, exactly, and it's very well run. There's a large wealth of knowledge in there. The other one that's going to come on the scene soon, it's a very large group. It has like 8,000 members, but it's been largely inactive since about 2019. So we're trying to revitalize it right now.
What's the name of it?
It's literally called Life and Health Agents. That's it.
Oh,
Health
I think I might be
insurance
a member of
agents.
that group.
Yeah, I think everyone's a member, and then no one posts it there.
No one
It's
posts
actually kind of
anything there.
funny. So
That's pretty funny.
I tell you what,
cool.
if you really want to take on a task of revamping a group,
I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say insurance forums where
no, dude.
Really?
Sell Team 6 or Sell Team.
Shut up, bro.
Dude,
I don't even know
it
what
was-
you're talking about.
There's no way Rob would
I'm
let him take
not
over.
kidding you. I'm not kidding you when I tell you this. It was one of the first, right, Nick?
Oh yeah.
It was one of the first, and it went from like I was like me and Nick were like one of the first 100 people, and it went to like 5,000 members in like a week.
It was started around the same time as Insurance Soup was started. Like that's like how long ago it was, and it was the only one that was final expense focused for a long time. And then the guy that ran the group just kind of, I don't know, burned out himself, I think. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to Rob.
Yeah.
But
cool. But that's besides the point.
Yep.
Go be on one of those groups if you want to interact with Michael. He's got a wealth of knowledge. And if you find Nick on a forum, run, because he will tell you exactly what you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
He does not hold back. But it's actually, but if people would, this is why people don't understand. We made this YouTube channel because it was a spinoff from FE Agents Only, where I was doing one-on-one conversations with people. And then Nick said, do you want to do a YouTube channel with me? And I said, that is the greatest invite I've ever heard. I get to talk to Nick once a week, who I consider to be one of the greatest final expense agents of all time. If people would just listen to Nick a little bit longer, they would be so much better at selling final expense. So I do this for you guys because I want Nick to tell you what he knows, because he's incredibly intelligent. He's got to be one of the best people in the world when it comes to final expense sales.
go buy leads and give 12 presentations a week. You're fine.
That's it.
That's the
You'll
secret.
survive.
That's it.
That's the secret.
But still, you should subscribe and comment and like the video so you
Hopefully
can
they're entertained.
so you can watch Nick say that in every single video. Okay,
Just in a
guys.
different way.
Yeah,
Please
in a
buy
different way.
There's
Please
there's
buy
gonna be an
leads.
ad halfway through to monetize the video too, so watch out for that one.
Yeah, get ready.
Exactly.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man.